Posted by you/public_set_7296. AITA for taking my daughter out of dance because of her mother ruining it for her? So, my daughter is 5 and she's been dancing since last year. Her mom is a former gymnast and wanted her to do that, but my daughter didn't like it at all and prefers taking tap and ballet classes instead. I knew this bothered my wife, but I didn't expect her to alienate herself from the other moms and the instructor. She says she feels like our daughter isn't being used where she should be and that her and the instructor constantly get into it with each other, and my wife feels like she has knowledge with her gymnast background and that's why the instructor should take note of what she's saying. My wife is very competitive, and I do admire her drive for that, but it seems like the pushback between her and the instructor has caused a lot of tension in the class. This has caused the other moms to get mad when my wife would bring up how their daughters were being treated in comparison to ours, and now the entire experience is ruined for our daughter. Since the other moms don't like my wife, they no longer invite our daughter to play dates and other outings which the girls talk about in class, and it makes my daughter come home to me and cry about how she wants to go on play dates again with her friends. I spoke to my wife about it, and she said that she will make friends in kindergarten and that it's not that serious. But this is a studio she plans for our daughter to attend for years. I don't understand how she doesn't get how her conflict with the other parents won't cause our daughter to feel excluded. She told me that the other moms are rude, and she will always stand up for herself and our daughter and that I need to stop being scared of them. My daughter doesn't even want to go to class anymore. She cries when I get off work and pick her up from class. The parents and instructors are cordial with me when I come inside for pickup, and one even invited my daughter to her daughter's birthday party but specified that I be the one to take her. When I told my wife this, she blew up and got very upset, saying that it's weird she specified I take our daughter and she can't go. I told her that's ridiculous, but she wouldn't budge, and it just so happened to fall on a workday so I couldn't take her. I was fed up, and my daughter kept complaining about hating the studio and not liking dance, so I disenrolled her when I went to pick her up and she was crying about never wanting to come back. When I went home and told my wife, she got mad and said I'm an evil a-hole and that I should have spoken to her first before doing that. I told her that she is the one that ruined our daughter's experience with her fighting the parents and instructors and alienating our daughter from the other girls. She kept saying I'm the only one wrong and that I'm in a hole since it's the best studio in town and others have wait lists for months. AITA? Now on to the update. AITA for taking my daughter out of dance class because of her mother ruining it for her? Hey everyone, didn't expect that this post needed an update, but sadly things have been pretty bad these past 2 months since making that post. A quick recap is that my wife got into conflict with instructors and parents at our daughter's studio, causing her to be alienated, and in return I unenrolled my unhappy daughter from classes. I felt a bit conflicted if I did the right thing, but after reading your responses, I felt content I made the right choice. I even showed her comments, but she refused to look at my phone for long. I thought after getting mad my wife would be able to get over this and see my side, but unfortunately things became very bad. She told me a week after she was going to enroll our daughter back in gymnastics like she had initially wanted, and my daughter overheard this, saying she didn't want to and started crying. My wife completely ignored this and went on talking to me, saying she's sick of me enabling quitting and that our daughter needs a better role model. I was sick to watch her ignore our crying daughter and told her that we already tried gymnastics and our daughter didn't like it, and she said it will be different this time and that her word is final. We kept arguing about this and she went on to enroll our daughter into gymnastics again and started taking her while I was at work. I was furious that she couldn't respect my wishes, but she said I wasn't respecting her. I told my wife that she has control issues and is trying to live through our daughter, and this made her extremely upset. I recommended therapy like a lot of commenters said to, and this set her off. She started accusing me of infidelity, saying that the mother at my daughter's old studio, who specifically asked that I bring my daughter and not my wife, is the reason I'm starting issues for no reason with her, and that she found it weird that she specially asked for me and not her, and that means something more. I said that's because all the moms hate her and didn't want her around, and she cursed at me horribly, saying disgusting things I can't type, but I'm shocked I married someone so vile. She wasn't always like this. She was a kind, caring woman before this whole gymnastics/ballet fiasco started and her tiger mom side came out. I know it's crazy and I wish I could say different, but I'm seeing this heading towards divorce. We haven't slept in the same bed for 3 weeks and she won't talk to me about anything other than the house, our daughter, and the dog. I'm embarrassed to tell anyone this because I find it so bizarre and weird that so much conflict has stemmed from something as innocent as sports. So yeah, now on to the next story. Posted by you/The Smiths Throw? AITA for refusing to let my husband drive my son to school with his step-siblings anymore? Context: my ex-husband and I have custody of our 11-year-old son. He's diabetic, and since his diagnosis is relatively new, we're still working on managing things for him so he could continue to live a normal life just like other kids. His stepdad is responsible for dropping him off/picking him up from school since his stepsiblings attend the same school. The issue began when my son started asking me or his bio dad to take him to school instead of his stepdad. He said the reason for that is because his stepsiblings open his lunchbox and take all the additional snacks that he needs in case he had a hypoglycemic episode. That's what we call low blood sugar. His stepsiblings would take his lunchbox from him and take the snacks and only leave him his sandwich and water. His stepdad thinks there's nothing wrong with sharing, although I explained to him about a millionth times how important his snacks are. He promised that he won't let his kids touch my son's lunchbox from now on, and I believed him. Days ago, my son came home and told me his stepsiblings took his snacks from his lunchbox again. I was enraged. I asked if his stepdad saw them. He said yes, and he scolded him when he refused to let them have the snacks. I lost it. I blew up at my husband and told him that my son won't be riding in his car again with his stepsiblings after what they'd done and after he allowed it. I told him that my son's father will be driving him to and from school from now on. He lashed at me, saying that I was driving a wedge between the kids and teaching my son to grow up being selfish and self-centered and antisocial. And also making my son distant from him and getting him to favor his bio dad. I refused to discuss it. Now he's acting all hurt and disrespected, saying it was not worth ruining the kids' relationship over some snacks. Edited. His argument is that I don't get his kids the same number of snacks I get for my son. They go through their snacks in no time. In my defense, I said that the snacks are part of my son's diabetes management routine and he, unlike his stepsiblings, needs them anytime. And so, I don't feel like I'm obligated, or that I should buy his stepsiblings the same number of snacks, seeing that they can do without them for a while. Am I making sense here? Edited 2. My stepchildren's ages are 13 and 10. Now on to the last story. This post is from the r/wedding shaming subreddit. Posted by u/Jambon Dorcas. The wedding I just went to was so awful I ended up hiding from the bride and groom. I just went to a wedding with my husband this past weekend. The groom and my husband have been friends for around 10 years. I've only met his fiancée, now wife, once about 5 years ago. We'll call the groom Angus and the bride Trudy. After our initial introduction 5 years ago to Trudy, Angus dropped us like a hot potato and stopped hanging with us. However, my husband still works with Angus and has hung out with him maybe twice in the past 5 years. Angus adopted all of Trudy's friends and dropped his. Fast forward 5 years and Angus and Trudy are getting married, and we are invited. It was a destination wedding that was hours away by car, and my husband really wanted to go. I frankly only wanted to go because of the location, because I had never been, and it was supposed to be beautiful. So, I booked 2 nights there. It was $700, but I thought it would be like a mini vacation, even though I don't really know Angus anymore and I certainly don't know Trudy. We get there mid-afternoon, and our hotel room smells like sewage. This is supposed to be a top-tier hotel and it smelled like shit. We changed rooms and it still smelled like shit. Anyway, that night everyone is in the hotel bar drinking and hanging out. Trudy is there with her mother, and when we walk in, Trudy gives my husband a big hug and completely blanks me. Won't make eye contact and pretends I'm not there. Rude, considering I bought you a gift from freaking Crate and Barrel and I know you received it because I saw it on one of her curated posts on the Book of Faces. Then we go meet up with Angus. The welcome we got was even worse. He looked like he swallowed a log of shit. We are talking really freaking rude considering we came all that way for him. His friends are standing in a group and my husband, and I join them as they are the only people we know. His friends are great, fun and personable. Not Angus. Angus is standing with us drinking, but he's miserable and rude to all of us. Angus, I guess, decided that one of his friends, Percy, wasn't worth talking to because he didn't utter a word to the poor guy the entire evening. Again, I think whatever, but a little stunned, and ignore him when I realize he's just going to continue being a dick. Day of the wedding, my husband puts his new suit and shoes on, $450 that he had to go out and buy since he didn't own one, and it said cocktail attire on the invite. They have their ceremony. Trudy's friend officiated the wedding. The ceremony was basically verbal diarrhea on how great his friendship is with Trudy. He spoke about Angus for less than a minute. Now it's time for pictures. Trudy has all her friends come and have a group photo with her and Angus. Angus' friends? Nope, they don't want a photo of his friends. I didn't care, but the looks on Angus' friends' faces was just sad. They are a really lovely group of guys that didn't deserve that kind of treatment. Then comes the reception. Trudy's friends all have a prime table. Angus' friends, not so much. We were in the very back of the room in no man's land. Angus' best friend and best man at the wedding? He was at our table as well. That's right, he put his friend of over 30 years, the best man, at the table all the way in the back of the room. Did Angus come over to the table even once? Nope. Did the bride? Yes, for about 5 seconds. She thanked my husband for coming but still wouldn't talk or make eye contact with me. That's when I had enough. I don't care that we aren't friends and don't hang out, but we came to your freaking wedding and dropped more than $1,000 on your ungrateful, rude, entitled asses, and in return you put Angus' friends in Siberia and treat everyone like crap. This is a man that when he had no friends, my husband and I always would invite him for dinner and to hang out. He was beyond lovely and nice before he met Trudy. Now he's a rude windbag and Trudy's doormat. What makes it even sadder is that Angus' friend, Percy, the one Angus ignored at the bar the night before. Well, Angus didn't talk to him at all at the wedding reception. I don't think Angus said one word to Percy all weekend long. It was so rude, pathetic and so full of assholery. I was and still am dumbstruck by their behavior. My very favorite part of the evening was when Angus' mother, Gladys, came over and thanked only one couple at the table for coming. Even though she knew all of us, she pretended she didn't and sauntered off. WTF? Why are they all so freaking rude? Halfway through the reception, all of Angus' friends started leaving en masse. I got so tired of Angus and Trudy that every time I saw them, I turned around and walked the other way. I thought that at least the food would be good, but it was so awful no one at our table ate. They never announced dinner was ready or that you could get a slice of cake. Just, nothing. The cake? You had to go looking for it like it was a goddamn treasure hunt. None of us danced. Gee, I wonder why? We stuck together in a group once we realized we basically were not wanted. Angus' best man? He left pretty early on. My husband and I left pretty early on. At that point I'd rather watch reruns of Cop Rock than stay at that party. The best part of the wedding was watching a guy high on coke dance his heart out, kicking his leg up and doing twirls on one foot. That guy had a good time and told us all how much he loved his wife. The next day we drove back home. We spent over $1,000 to be treated like shit. I will not be going to any weddings ever again unless it's one of my kids getting married. I know Angus and Trudy are on Reddit, and if you read this, F you.